I hope you guys can hear me. Oh, maybe not. Okay. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but last night's live was not good quality as far as for because we were driving and I didn't realize that the wind was gonna make the live sound like muffled. So happy Sunday. Today's August 25th, and I hope you've had a good Sunday. Um, I just got dropped off because we have Divine Heritage practice because the funeral is for Stella, our sister, choir sister Stella. Tomorrow's the viewing, and on Wednesday, Tuesday is the burial. But if you guys have never had combos stuffed snacked pepperoni pizza, best treat. Um, we used to do shows out in Lake George, New York when we were younger. Um, had this vending machine and as dancers, like my dad. Sorry, let me just chew this. But my dad and his brothers and his first cousins, if you're a dancer, they were really strict about weight, especially my dad. And so, being the rebel that I am, there's a vending machine, and I'd always go get combos or the brownies. And so, anyways, we're not gonna go on a tangent on that, but hope you guys have had a good Sunday. I have an hour, so we're gonna go until I feel like I need to stop talking. Um, I had the blessing of teaching today, and so in our ward, so in the church, you have what's called a ward, and then in that area, there there's boundaries, like street boundaries. So from one side of like let's say 200 East and 2700 South to 3300 South and going south, 3300 South and like 5th East. That would be a boundary of whoever lives in that area. Then they would go to that chapel or that church within that boundary. So, anyways, my ward is actually like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes from my home because I don't go to a regular family ward. I go to what's called a singles ward. And these are older singles past the age of 31. But I was able to teach today and it was really good. Got a lot of good feedback from the sisters, and so I just wanted to share a little bit of that experience. But before we get into that, I wanted to share like a recap of this week. So we know that, and people might walk in and out because I'm in somebody else's ward. This is like the ward building, so don't mind like if I stop. But as I was teaching, I was like so filled with confidence in the sense that all the trials that I went through this past week prepared me for that moment in teaching and trying to connect with the sisters. And last night when I was sharing the live with you guys, hi sister, my sister Lena just dropped me off. Lena, this is killing time at its finest. But just sharing with the followers about our lesson today. But anyways, and so it gave me the confidence to teach today, and it felt so good because like at first when I started, I felt like I was talking a lot, but I stayed out of my head, and I was Lena's gonna laugh, but I was gonna actually like make them close their eyes and then do this whole thing like exercise, but then the spirit stopped me from doing that. Thank you, Lena. The spirit stopped me from doing that, and the thought when I was teaching, don't do that, because are you gonna follow the spirit or are you gonna follow what you think needs to be? And the thing that I learned about that, when you follow the spirit, it just works out way, way more better. And so I had them put their phones under their seats, mainly so that they weren't distracted, whether or not they read the lesson. But also, um, it was like a test of faith on my part to be like, okay, you were gonna let them close their eyes, but look at all these sisters wanting and are eager to share. And so that helped me to read the room and also uh, silence myself, because I really like at the beginning I felt like I was just talking, and in our like encouragement from our leaders is like we're just supposed to facilitate, we're not supposed to really try to take over. And so there were bits and pieces here and there throughout the hour that I was like, okay, talking too much. And but it was just a beautiful feeling to see them. Thank you, Lena, um, and thank you for your prayer. um, it was beautiful to see them want to share, and I did never feel like one. There was a couple that like spoke more than once, but in them speaking more than once, they had valid things to say, and they were helping me. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna remember that and remember that book that they read, and so I could go back, and um, and so it just felt nice that things were flowing. But I know, like from last night when I said the word of the day last night was listen. It felt so good to like be there facilitating and really taking time to listen, because I feel like I haven't been listening to the spirit as much as I did when I was on my mission, and as much as I've done post mission, and really was like, come on, Heavenly Father, help me. Like today for me was just listen, and like there were moments I would pause and I would like want to rush myself to stop the long pause and silence, but it was nice. So that was a recap of earlier today, and I wanted to invite you guys, those who don't go to my ward, but I got caught up doing family stuff, and so it's like after talking to Carol about the whole listen to men, listen, like hear people out when trying to communicate what one wants. Because earlier in the week, remember I told you guys I was asked like, what do you want, what do you want to do, and I like was stuck mode. um it was nice to go over that with my bestie Carol and just be like, okay, yeah, this is what I want. And she kept saying, like, to for somebody to know what they want, they have to dig. They have to dig deep within themselves. They have to look at what is causing me to not get what I want. And when I admitted online in one of my IG posts that what was keeping me stuck was the lack of self confidence and self worth, and that I don't know who out of you are not at your highest level of feeling your self worth, but something that helps me to feel my self worth and to work on my self esteem is to surround myself, and this was brought up in the lesson, is to surround myself with like-minded people, people that want to feed my soul, feed my testimony. And you guys can, even though you weren't in the class today, if you Google Elder Ballard, M. Russell Ballard, and Google the talk that says the truth, the true, pure, simple. Um, I'm trying to look it up for you guys, but simple something of the gospel. I should have just memorized it, but you guys know I like to turn pages while I'm trying to talk to you guys. So yes. So when I shared the part about the purity part, like how Satan tries to get in our heads and tell us that, it's better off just to keep sinning instead of working towards Christ and Heavenly Father. I was telling the sisters that there's a word called, or not called, but the word halt, H as in Henry, A as in Alpha, halt. Why did I just forget? L as in Larry, T as in Tom. That is not even the right acronyms for those letters, but you guys get halt. And it was the word or the words that go to each letter: H for hungry, A for alone, L for lonely, and T for tired. I broke it down from a talk that I heard yesterday from a non-member, and just let them know, like, there are going to be things that hold you, like Satan's traps are going to hold you from wanting to be more Christ-like, wanting you to be more goal-oriented, wanting you to be more kind to people. But if you halt in that moment and just pause, breathe, and process what you are feeling, you'll be better off instead of reacting. And you guys know, like, I was very transparent this week about the experience with I always want to say elevate, but it's elate the minds. Like, elate the minds. Very vulnerable about that. And the cool thing, and I was telling Carol last night, is that even though I felt like that was epic fail on my end, that failure has kept me going. And that failure is helping me to not do these lives for the sole purpose of really showing what I was trying to show them that day, which is that I am confident, that I am driven, and that I am about the business. That experience has showed me that if I had just halt on the eagerness and the anxiousness of trying to show that I have value to add to them, then it would have worked so much better. But now, like, I can take that experience, and if ever again it feels the same with other people, then I can remember, pause, push on your brakes, and listen to read the room of who you're talking to. What is your purpose? And I don't know about you guys, like, I don't know, like, if there are things in your life that you are trying to rush and you get frustrated and you want to give up. But I'm telling you guys, if you just practice the pause and hold when you're in the experience, and then accept if you've messed up an experience, accept that there will be many more to come, whether it's with those individuals or that group. If you just accept that and push forward, I promise you the peace and the peace of mind and the peace of heart you'll gain will be well worth the epic fail. And so that was just one recap that I wanted to share with you guys, that really has had me thinking more about being ready, spiritually ready, life ready. Anything can happen to any of us every day, every second. Like, after this life, anything could happen to me. positive or negative, but what the what's important is that we keep moving, we keep going. Another thing that me and Carol were talking about, and I'm only going to share because Carol is not a sharer, but when she shares, like she like drops those truth bombs, and you know, people will like flock to her, trying to be her best friend, and I find it such a blessing um, and safe space that I could have a best friend like Caroline. That no matter how ugly I get personally in the way I act, the choices I make, um, anything like we say we need each other's personalities, and she started off saying this with her one sister, our sister Christine, but they would say they need the male version of that sister. So Christine would need the male version of Carol, and Carol would need the male version of Christine. And so I feel that with Carolina, because we're so transparent with each other, I would need the male version personality of her. Um, and that doesn't mean that our friendship is always like straight and no bumps in the road. Like there's always as you I feel like as you get to know people, um, what unconditional love means to me is that you work, if the relationship is worth it, you will work past any argument, miscommunication. But if you cannot be adults and speak on your truth and feel that they'll be able to respect your truth, then it's not a real friendship, in my opinion. And so we're just saying like how we need each other in male form. And we're talking about like, because obviously if you're single, you're always talking about your end goal is to be with somebody that you can be transparent with, that you can be um, wholeheartedly your whole self, and that unconditional love will be um, a mutual thing that you can share. And I feel like I was telling her, I feel like the reason people um, don't last in relationships is selfishness seeps in, um, telling that person they're not fulfilling them, um, and a variety of other different things. But mainly selfishness. Like selfishness is the root of it, and then everything else trickles down to me as why people are in bad relationships. Tony Robbins was talking about this concerning business, not relationships, but you can apply it to relationships. He said that far too often when you're in a business, you keep people around longer than you should. And it's not that you hire the wrong, right? Wait, it's not that you hire the wrong people, you just keep the wrong people on board for too long. Like, so if you have a coworker and he's a tech guy, and you know he's not like pushing himself in his goals, or he's not meeting the bare minimum of what needs to be done in his job description, then you've kept him around too long. So that's like a relationship. Like some of us who aren't married, or maybe even married, but we stay with people knowing in our gut they're like not good for your mental health, not good for your physical health, not good for your emotional health. But because you're comfortable and you are afraid of stepping out to receive something that is more healthy for you, people stay. I have tons of family members, and even my own parents. They stayed together forever. I want to say like seven. They got divorced when I was like 5-ish, and they didn't really like finally divorce until I was and stop like living with each other until I was 17. And the sad thing was, as a child, all I wanted was them to stay together, knowing that there were so many problems in the home. And I just had the mindset like, no, we need to stick together, because if we stick together, then all the problems will go away. But really, what it did was it caused resentment to grow. It caused a lot of pain, a lot of unnecessary, just life, life lessons that we didn't really need to learn, unless, or we didn't need to learn if they would have just put their foot down and stayed away from each other. But everything happens for a reason. And so, my point of bringing our conversation, Caroline and I's conversation about relationships, is to let you know, like, if you're in a domestic, um, unhealthy relationship, then um, you'll want to look at finding resources and people to help you remove yourself from that, because nobody can tell you anything. Like, I've learned in um, what is it, in just my own experience of when I'm searching for love, and when I am trying to sift out who should I date, who should I not date, and just learning from my sisters, like, who they're dating and who they're talking to. um, I'm, for myself, just know that once the red flags come up, I have to pause, listen, and then act. Pause, listen, and then act on what I know Heavenly Father needs me to be strong enough to do. Um, I was taking, in our community, the Pacific Islander class, or not class, but Pacific Islander community, there was a class that we were trying to get certified for, concerning, what is it called? Rape recovery. So, people that have been raped, we would go, once we get certified, and we would help them cope, or help them to go to a shelter. Um, I never got my certificate, but in learning the different definitions of rape and the coping uh, skills they were trying to show us, so that we could help these women and even men that were assaulted, it showed me that, like, when you're trying to change, it doesn't happen overnight. They say it takes at least 7 attempts for a victim, a domestic victim, to really, really put their foot down that they're going to leave. But in those attempts, instead of judging them and shaming them of not leaving and making it a permanent thing, that we, as the advisors to these women and men, needed to have more empathy. And so I feel like, if you're stuck in a relationship, you there's difference between empathy and sympathy. If you're staying because you feel sorry for them and you make excuses up for them, like, oh, if I leave, they might kill themselves. That's number one thing that couples that are toxic, the other partner who's trying to keep emotional hold and everything, they'll tell their partners that to keep them. And to me, because we come from a family that has experienced that, um, as far as for death by suicide, that if a partner is going to tell you that, then you need to get out ASAP. Um, if that's not the case, and they don't threaten that, but they just say that they need you, or they feed your ego. I think another thing that people stay in relationships that are toxic is because somehow that person is feeding your ego. Either you're, like, emotionally, financially, or physically meeting their needs, so they tell you, like, you do this so well, you make me feel like this, nobody else will make me feel like this. Just get out. Just get out. And if you have been assaulted, I would say reach out. DM me, and I can give you information of who to contact for help. But understand, get out of the toxic relationship, because if you don't have kids and then you bring kids into the mix, you're just not only um, you're not only messing up your life, you're potentially messing up their life and their um, patterns and their cycles, because if they're not strong enough, they will continue the cycle that you started, which is making yourself available to toxic people, abusive people. um, I always used to think, because I came from a background of dysfunction, that I didn't have, because that happened with my parents, that it was like I inherited that, and that was going to be my life. What I've since learned is that it's not my life. It's not my life because I choose. I have a choice. So, if you're in a toxic relationship and you think you don't have a choice, you have a choice. You just need to find it in yourself to be strong enough, find the people that could help you to stay strong and get out of those toxic relationships. Um, and so, and if you're not and you're single, if you're not in a toxic relationship and you're kind of wondering, oh, how do I prevent? What are the red flags of toxic relationship? I would say anyone who has the nerve, no matter how small it is, to when you're being offended and talked down to, and then when you're being offended because you're in your feelings. I don't have a doubt, no one's, unless you have a mental illness, and I don't even say that lightly to clown, but unless you have a mental illness, your gut, your intuition tells you when you're being abused, even at the slightest. If somebody's talking down to you, that should be number one red flag to not even tolerate that. But if you're gonna want a relationship with that person, knowing that you're the they'll joke about you on your expense, let it go. You, especially a woman, you set the tone. This was another thing me and Carol were talking about. You set the tone for your relationships, whether it be friendships, family, and especially men. You set the tone and you tell them no, and you train them. And I don't say train to put down men and say that men are like dogs and you need to train them. No, we're all in training. We train them to know how to talk to us, how to respect us, how to love us. But they also teach us too. I feel like men, at least the men I know that are good men, they teach me how to be driven. They teach me how to chill. I love when I can feel that a man is teaching me from a safe space and place of trying to see me rise. I love when I know that they're really trying to see me succeed, and so they tell me the hard stuff. They tell me the stuff that maybe at the moment I'm not ready for, but I'm able to process them and apply what they've said later. So that's my 2 cents about getting out of toxic relationships, and to be mindful of your emotional and mental health. Um, what else is going on? Um, Carol inspired to set goals and to have a planner. So if you're not a planner person or you hate holding planners, sorry guys, I am hungry. Um, then just do it on your phone. Do it on your notepad. The blessings of setting goals is that you not only speak it, like Nipsey Hussle, speak it into existence, but now that it's in existence, you have to apply work. So, I'm going to chew this real fast. So, for myself, I've written down like hour by hour what's going to happen next week. I've sought out like where I'm going to be, who I'm going to be with, who I'm going to talk to. So that is my tidbit on goals. Get them done, put them down, and if you want to start, if you're in a toxic relationship, start there. Say, hey, I'm going to hit up this counselor at this time, and if they're not available, I'll go to another counselor that's close by. Just make your list. I'm going to end right now because I want to finish my combos. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. We're going to be here practicing for our sister. And my end thought for today would be listen. It's going to be listen again, because as you listen, you're humble. And as you're humbled, you'll be more effective in helping other people. And so thank you guys again for letting me spend this half an hour, 45 minutes. And thank you for helping me to have the desire to come up and do these lives so that you guys can get the most of it and have a better day. So remember today, recap word, listen. Listen to the people that you know you're being elevated and protected by, like they got your back and that they really want you to succeed. And listen to your spirit. Like, you can feel vibes. You can feel vibes when people are for you and when people are not for you. So if all people are against you and you don't feel that anybody's near you that would be able to support you, reach out online. I am always here. Okay? Love you guys. Happy Sunday. And we will talk to you again.